And now, weighing in out of the blue corner, Josh the Punk Thomson. 100%. And on the other mic, he weighs in from the red corner, Big John McCarthy.
Well, hello there, guys. It's just me today with, of course, Keto George. You know, Big John is doing his thing right now, man. He's not feeling well, a little under the weather, and he's got little sniffles, and so I want to give him the day off. And look, there's not really much to talk about outside of the great boxing match that happened last night down in Anaheim, California. And I just flew in this morning back up to the Bay Area. I'm going to be here for, a day or two, visiting some family and stuff. So I thought I'd drop you the show as soon as I possibly could and just talk about some of the experiences there at the venue, man. We had a great time. It was a great week of talking with the fighters, getting to know them personally. You know, I have covered boxing before, but not at this level, obviously. And it was my first time working, a big boxing event. And this was an amazing event, man. I love it. I've done some boxing matches before in my past. I've done kickboxing matches, just straight boxing, just straight kickboxing. Obviously, you guys all know me from MMA. But this is another level of what I was expecting. I was expecting to see some good matches, and we got it. We got some. Boxing has tendencies to sometimes have great fights, and we had a couple great fights. And boxing sometimes has tendencies to have some snooze fests. Just ask Shakur Stevenson. So it doesn't matter what level you are. It just comes down to the fact that sometimes the fight just doesn't develop or perform the way you thought it would. And, some of the fights were great. But let's go ahead and jump right into it. I know there's a lot of buzz and stuff, but first off, we want to wish Big John a speedy recovery. He's not feeling well. He's got the sniffles, not just that, but he's got the fever, he's got the aches, he's got the pains. And I'm afraid if he shivers too much, then he might break a hip, and then that's like for old people, that's the downfall right there. It's like once they break a hip, it's over, right? It's pretty much funeral services. So, but he's not feeling well, so I wanted to give him the day off and go ahead and drop the show hopefully as soon as possible. George's gonna do some editing. We're gonna get this to you guys as soon as we can. This may not be a full hour like you guys are used to, but we're gonna give you the knowledge that I know as of from the boxing matches from this week. So Masvidal versus Diaz. Let's go ahead and just start with the main event. But before we do that, I want to thank BetUS for dropping our odds on the week of. We had a great time. John did his betting odds on it. I did mine. We had some fun. Nate Dogg. He was the underdog for this fight, and I said to take him because I thought in a 10-round fight that I thought he would have a good opportunity to get this job done. I was a little concerned after meeting with Masvidal and meeting with his coaches and his trainers. Man, they had me thinking that George was going to be there in the 10th round, really laying down the thunder. Now, don't get me wrong, Jorge, man, Masvidal he had some great shots. He was landing some big, heavy shots, great head movement. He started off a little slow. I think he would have won this fight had he not given away the first round or two by just playing the possum, trying to land one or two shots. He started picking up the bigger shots as the fight went on by rounds 4, 5, 6, But I felt like he gave away those first two rounds, which is what cost him the fight. And so, but look, overall, I thought the night was amazing. Was it 16,000 or 18? I think it was 18,000 fans packed the arena. They actually opened up 600 more seats. They had moved some media out of the way, and they had opened it up for some more seats to be sold. I do recall that there was a promoter that one time said, that Nate wasn't a needle mover. I kind of got to beg to differ, my man. I got to beg to differ, Keto. I don't know what else to say, buddy, but when you can say whatever you want about Nate Diaz. He can write his own ticket. He can, look, Jake Paul needs him as much as Nate needs Jake. I mean, I can't sit here and say that that Jake would be the A side or deserves to be the A side. Now I know he's got the win over Nate, but I don't see it, man. I don't see it. I think this Nate has a better chance against him. But the other thing too that we continue to go back over is that Jake has a tendency to be the bigger, younger fighter, against everyone that he fights. He's trying to fight Mike Tyson right now, and he's fighting Mike Perry. I mean, we're going to find out how he does against Mike Perry. That's a big step up, I think, in competition for him. Fighting somebody a little bit more closer to his age, that's 1. 2, has the power, has the pop, all those things. So we're going to see how that fight all pans out, and we may potentially see a Jake Paul-Nate Diaz rematch And, we'll talk more about the Jake Paul situation. Jake had some words to say.
Yeah, last night, Jake tweeted after Nate called him out again. He said, "Fuck you, Nate Diaz. You're a hoe who ducked my PFL $15 million MMA offer. Masvidal trash too, shake my head."
Yeah. I don't know. I like what Nate does. Nate has a tendency sometimes to not jump and play other people's games. He dictates the rules, and he did that with the Masvidal situation. He did the pressers when he wanted. He was driving Masvidal crazy. The lead up to this, when I was interviewing Anthony Pettis, he said the same thing about when he fought Nate years ago in the UFC. He's like, look, man, I let the guy get in my head. It just totally ruined the way I fought. And we've seen that time and time again. Guys allow themselves to allow Nate to get into his head, to get in their head, and then the next thing you know, they're either getting tapped out or they're just getting beat up on like a Pez dispenser. They're getting punched, and they just don't know how to stop it. They don't know how to stop the bleeding. And Nate is somebody that he's come a long way in his progressions of what he's been doing. Like before, when he first came into the sport of MMA, he was pretty much all jiu-jitsu with some light boxing. And then he slowly came into more boxing and then became a fan favorite. Then he just started doing whatever it is he wanted to do. A little bit of like what his brother did, like kind of just lay down on the ground against Anderson Silva, like he did last night, just kind of turned his back and walked to the corner. And, he was just making it out there. Fans love him because he's a showman. Look, he doesn't always have the most exciting fights, but he does always come to fight. And you can't be mad at that. He talks all the trash. He does all the things, but he always shows up to fight. I did hear that when he had fought Jake the first time, he didn't have a good camp, didn't have a lot of people to work with at the time. He was kind of all over the place. This time he had a good camp. He focused with Chris Avila and other guys in his camp, and they had a good camp. And I thought it showed. I thought his output was a lot more. I thought he pressured right from the beginning, from round one. And those are the things that I thought were the most important part of him getting the win. I said it in my pre-workup to the fight. I said it on this show as well. And I said, if he doesn't get started early with the pressure, it's going to be a long night for him because George can just sit back and pot shot him and take and deliver the harder shots, which is exactly what we saw. But had Nate not got started early in the fight with the pressure and just touching him, accumulating those points, he would have lost that fight. But he got started early with the pressure, slowed Masvidal down, and as the fight went on, he was just outworking Jorge Masvidal. And you guys, I said this on the show, there's a bunch of different ways. Everyone's going to say that Masvidal got robbed. It really comes down to, when I was talking at the broadcast desk, it comes down to the fight, to where the judge is sitting. If he sees how hard that shot lands, whether he scores it or not. If it could have been where two judges didn't have a clear view of the strikes that were landing by Masvidal and Nate just touching and touching and touching. And it's funny, I was talking with some other guys that were in the back, and a lot of what they said was exactly what I was thinking. Nate rolls so well with the shots, and he dips his head one way, dips his head the other way, and he kind of like loops his arms around, almost like to hug you. And you really can't tell, if you're a judge, how much that shot really affected a Nate Diaz. And so when George was landing, sure, there was some that you're like, oh, dang, that was nasty. And then there's some that where you were like, did it really hit him that hard? Was he leaning that way already? Did he just roll with the shot? So if you're a judge and you're not in the right position, you don't know if the shot landed clean. If George is back to you, you don't know how hard it landed. If Nate's back was to you, you don't know how hard it landed. And then Nate leaning side to side and kind of looping the arms and coming over the top with something and landed on the exchanges out. How hard did that land? There were so many ways you could have scored this. It really just came down to volume versus power strikes. And I think ultimately the judges decided that there wasn't enough power strikes. You got to have more than 3, 4, 5 around versus someone who's just touching you constantly with volume. And whether they're hard shots or not, it's just that's how Nate and Nick have always done it for years. They pitter-patter you, and then all of a sudden a long strike comes in and boom, snaps your head back, and then they go ahead and try to lay on some power. And it's been successful for them majority of their career. I mean, they've got some of the biggest names on their resume, and because of the way that they fight. Not just that, but the way that they talk to the media, the way that they talk to their opponents, the way they can build up a fight. Look, if you guys haven't figured this out yet, Nate and Nick, they don't do press like pretty much all the way up to the fight. And it's that like it pisses off the UFC. It pisses off, promotions, and Jake Paul was pissed off, Masvidal was pissed off. They were all mad. He's not selling the fight. But if you guys haven't figured it out, what he does is he comes in hard in the paint a week and a half before the fight, and he did Mighty Mouse's show, which was, if you guys haven't seen it, what a great interview. It was fantastic. Exactly, Keto. Mwah. Mwah. I'm simply saying, mwah. It was, how do you say? Magnificent. It was something like that. However you say it in Italian voice. There you go. Yeah, I'll let you say it because you did magnificent. It was something like that. Anyways, it was a great interview. It was a side of Nate that we hadn't seen before, really. It was kind of nice to get him out of his shell, to have him do an interview with somebody, that I think they both mutually respect each other. And I thought it was a great interview. But he shows up always the week of or week and a half before and just walks off the stage and, just talks trash and, and hey, go ahead, just fucking talk to yourself. Why don't you face off with yourself, motherfucker? Like, those are the things that his fans have come to love. Like, I'm not here for your bullshit. I'm here to fight you. Once you signed on the dotted line, I'm here to knock your head off. And that's Nate Diaz. And so I enjoy that about him. I respect that about him. And I got to be honest, man, it's a good thing. It's a good thing. So I thought he did it. I thought he did his part. I know leading up to it, George was a little upset. Like, how come you're not doing this? How come you're not doing that? But at the end of the day, man, you sold out the arena. I'm interested to see what the pay-per-view numbers are. I'm thinking they're probably going to be around 150,000. I'd say maybe 200. I'd say somewhere, which is a pretty good.
Oh yeah,
pretty good for for that card. If you can get 150, I think maybe up to 250 would be amazing if they got 250. But I'm saying somewhere around that, like 150, maybe 100, 150, somewhere in there.
What do you think about Jorge coming out in southpaw for this fight? Did you think that had any contributions to him losing or starting slow or anything like that?
It may be something to starting slow. It may be. And then, look, with Jorge, he can do it on both sides. I don't know why he didn't switch more. I think maybe he was trying to do a mental thing, but it kind of backfired a little bit, got him started off a little bit slow. If you're going to do something like that, come outside. And I'm just speaking from experience on my own. When I fought Gilbert Melendez the third time, when I fought with Nate, when I fought with their guys, after the Gil fight the third time or during the training for Gil, I had to switch stances because I had tore my PCL the week before the fight. And so I had to be very careful with how I was being kicked or how I could wrestle. I couldn't do anything off of that knee. So I tore my PCL the week before training with Gray Maynard. And and it was just one of those situations where I knew when I had to switch stance what my combinations were when I switched stance. I just threw them right away, and then I went back to my orthodox stance. George looked like he wanted to fight the whole fight that way, which majority of it he did. I thought that contributed to his slow start, which eventually I think ultimately cost him the fight because those first two rounds, I feel like he just gave away. And look, George is a fantastic boxer. We've seen him bare knuckle boxing, with Kimbo Slice days, backyard bare knuckle boxing. And then we've seen him inside, the cage, just piecing dudes up. One of the best performances I've ever seen from any fighter was Jorge Masvidal versus KJ Noons. I mean, King Carl, everyone thought he was going to come out and just piece up and it was going to be a knockdown drag out. It was actually quite the opposite. It was a one-sided beating by Jorge Masvidal over KJ Noons. And I thought like, I was like, man, this guy's dangerous. He's so good on the feet, and it was hard to take down. He had all the tools and the weapons, and he's done it all, man. And when you look at his resume overall, Masvidal's, and the same thing with Nate's, he's never ducked anybody. He's fought the who's who. I mean, he's fought everybody. He's asked for the big fights, and he's fought them on short notice. He's that guy. When guys say, I'll fight anyone, anytime, anywhere, this dude has, and you can't knock that dude for that. I mean, I got nothing but respect for both these guys. I think, too, coming into this, everyone saw some media comments like, oh, we're going to get another Chael and Anderson Silva. Bro, it wasn't even close to a Chael and Anderson Silva. Anderson Silva and Chael were afraid to touch each other. Like they were literally like playing patty cake out there. And I like both of them. I like Uncle Chael, and I think Anderson is a great fighter. But, they knew what they were doing. They were getting the money grab and moving on. This was a money grab also, but this was a real fight. They came out and they laid it on the line, did the best they could. And I'm glad that they got that fight in, man. I'm looking forward to seeing what Nate's future holds. I'm looking forward to seeing what Masvidal has. Masvidal has a 3-fight deal. I think he's got 2 more fights after this one. And so we're going to see him box at least 2 more times, I think. And I guess we're going to find out who. Who is he going to box? And where is it going to be? It's going to be in Miami. I know that he's a huge draw in Miami. Yeah, it's got to have to be in Miami or somewhere in Florida, Fort Lauderdale, somewhere around there.
Have Trump walk him out. We'll shut Miami down.
Yeah. I mean, I got to be honest, I believe that Masvidal's got the number 1 ticket sales. He's got like 18 million, I think, is when he had fought Usman.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember who he fought. He fought someone in Florida. I can't remember who.
I think it was
Usman, but he ended up. Yeah, maybe it was. But he sold the number 1 tickets. He has the number 1 ticket gate or whatever. Headlining the card in Florida, and that was I want to say it was like 18 million. I mean, think about how many people have done over 18 million, 18.5 or something like that. It's been Connor. There's been a couple other people that have gone over 18, 19 million, but it's been a very small few, and Masvidal's at the top. And so, look, I thought everyone was criticizing these 2 guys. Oh, it's going to be like a shitty fight. It's going to be this, going to be that. I thought it was a great fight, and I've said this over and over again. You could have a shitty undercard, but if you have a good main event, people, when they walk out, they don't care. All they're going to talk about is the main event. That's all they're going to talk about. The last fight that they saw, and it could work on the flip side. You could have great fights on the undercard, and the main event just blows. Ask Shakur. And just people are walking out in the middle of your fight or whatever it is. I mean, like, let's be honest, man. Like, people walking out. No one's talking about the undercard. They're just talking about how crappy it was. It was boring. It was this. It was that. So, I don't know. Overall, I thought the night was amazing. The crowd was amazing. They were there early for a lot of the fights. The prelims, they started packing in. I have a video of the line started, an hour and a half before the doors opened. At 3:30, I was 3:20. I was coming back from the hotel, with my suit and stuff. And there was already a line. I'd say probably 300 people, 400 people, something like that, already in line. It was a lot. So I thought it was a great fight, man. I thought they did it. They delivered. Sure, it's not Canelo Triple G, boxing, but that's not what we signed up for. You guys, people that bought the pay-per-view and people that came to the arena, they knew they weren't getting Canelo versus Gennady. What they were getting was 2 guys that have some beef. They have a history. They fought for the BMF belt, and in this one, it's a different rule set too. They fought in MMA. Now we get to see them fight in boxing. And so I think that's people knew what they were getting. And I thought the 2 fighters delivered. Great performance by both guys. If you want to talk about the judging, like I said, I broke down the judging for you guys already on how it all works, man. Where they're sitting, how they do it. Big John normally is here. I'm going to wait for him to kind of give his critique. Hopefully by Tuesday, he can give you guys some insight on what they were looking at. Maybe he's talked to the judges and maybe, can get some insight on that. But for me, I think it had to do with the position of the judges. That's 1. And 2 is I also believe that there just wasn't enough hard shots is what the judges were thinking that would have won Masvidal the round. Now, obviously Masvidal won quite a few rounds. So those heavy shots, they did count for something. Just there wasn't enough of them. Mm-hmm. There wasn't enough of them just yet. So that was a great main event. I thought they did a wonderful job. And Nate Diaz covering the spread, baby. I mean, he really did. He covered it. I thought I was worried, at BetUS, and I said, hey, BetUS, I believe Nate was a plus 225, I think is what the odd was. And I said, take Diaz on a 10-round fight. I went with Diaz. So if you guys took my advice, yeah, you guys cashed out.
It sounds like Conor McGregor took your advice.
Yes, he did. $500,000 came back. He ended up coming back at, I think, 1.675 million.
Damn.
Holy snizy. Hey, You know what they say, man? The rich get richer.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's some of them a bitch.
BetUS, America's favorite sportsbook and casino. Live betting and racebook. We're celebrating 30 years with a historic offer. A 125% sign-up bonus on your first 3 deposits. Plus 10% gambler's insurance. Get started today. BetUS, where the game begins.
Woo! All right. And then the co-main event, Danny Jacobs versus Shane Mosley Jr. You know, I was expecting a little bit more out of Danny. You know, I should have maybe have not because he missed weight. But I had talked to him the day before at the fighter meetings. He was on point. Like, he said all the right things that you want to hear him say. If you're coming off of a long layoff, you're, 38 years old, whatever it is, and you're expecting him to, hey, like, I needed the time away, clear my mind, spend time with my son, focused. He said all the right things, but then again, he's a professional, man. So he's been around the block. He knows what to say. And I just ate into it. Just nom. I was just fucking eating it up, man. I was eating it up. I'm like, this dude's got me eating out the palm of his hand. So, Danny Jacobs is a true professional, man. I don't know if any of you guys have ever met him, but it's the first time I ever really met him and talked to him. Seen him in passing, but never talked to him. But man, what a good dude. What a good dude. I got to be honest, man. Shane Mosley Jr. could have done more to make it a little bit more of a standout fight, but he didn't. He knew he was winning. Why take chances? Yeah. You want to get that name on your resume, and that's exactly what he did. I'm not going to say too much on the fight. I thought Shane Mosley was a coming out party for him, and it was a potential back into kind of an early retirement for Danny Jacobs. And we're going to find out. We're going to see. Danny said he's got a couple more fights left in him. He wants to, this was kind of the first step into kind of getting himself back in. There's one thing after a long layoff. You can't train fight speed. And so like in the gym, doesn't matter how many rounds you do, doesn't matter how much mitt work you do, doesn't matter how much bag work you do, it's never at fight pace. Yeah. It doesn't happen. When you want to take a rest, your opponent doesn't want to let you rest. And when he wants to rest, you don't want to let him rest. That's what makes the fight different. When you guys are sparring, one guy delivers his shot, and then the other guy takes a breath and goes, okay, I'm going to deliver mine. And then, the other guy goes, okay, you're a little bit tired, I'm a little bit tired. Let's take a step back and let's breathe. In fights, that doesn't happen. When one guy sees you start to wilt, they press forward no matter how tired they are. When you start to see your guy wilt, you press forward no matter how tired you are. So there's rules, like, it's difficult to get back into fight shape, and not just fight shape, but get into fight pace. That fight pace, that fight speed is just so difficult to mimic. It's impossible to mimic during training. I think we saw a little bit of that. Shane Mosley was fast. Shane Mosley Jr. was fast. He was long. He knew he had to use his reach and his speed to his advantage. He did exactly that. Great performance by him. Definitely. Great performance by him.
It is. I don't know if you could hear from where you were, but it is weird listening to somebody's father commentate their match.
I couldn't hear it.
It's like
give me some insight there, Keto. Tell me what it was about.
He's just harsh. Like, it's not that he's harsh on his son. He's rightfully harsh on his son, but it's just like you can just hear like the little disappointments in his voice. And it's like, he got strength. Shane got strength. I tell him all the time, just use your strength. Yeah. It's like, oh my God, it's funny. It's very unique.
Well, yeah, you know what it is, right? Is that you have because of my son, with him being so active in sports and being on a competitive level, it's you have high expectations for your kids because you believe that they can achieve all the things that potentially you couldn't achieve, and so like I can already tell you, my son's better at. I was really good at soccer. My son's already better than me. Like at the age that I'm looking at him, he handles the ball better. He lacks a little bit of the confidence. That I had. I had a lot of confidence, but I didn't handle the ball as well as him. So he handles the ball better than me, but he lacks the confidence, on shooting and things like that. He's great at passing and distributing, but if you put him one-on-one with the goalie on a breakaway, he'll look for his teammate to pass, so it's an easier setup, Me, I was a ball hawk, man. Didn't matter. I would shoot from outside the 18. I didn't give a shit, so, but yeah, so for Shane Mosley Sr. and then Jr., there's expectations you have in your son. You know how good they are. You've seen it in the gym. You want them to see, you want the world to see how good they are. You've seen it on the mitts. You've seen it on the bag. You've seen it in sparring. You've seen what he's done to people that, that people thought were better than him. You've seen what he's done in sparring to them. So, now it's when you're in front of the crowd like that, that's the moment that you want your son to shine so everyone can see what you've seen so many years behind closed doors. And so it's not disappointment. It's just, it's a tough love, but yet encouragement. And so that's one way, I guess, of saying it. But I thought a little bit more he could have delivered on. He could have potentially got Danny Jacobs out of there. I think, but he did what he had to do. He won pretty much every round. So it was a good fight for him. It was kind of a coming out party for him, and good on him. But I guess for me, a couple guys stole the night. But for me, it was Carmel Moton, man. That kid, young Floyd Mayweather prospect, they're calling him the next Floyd. He doesn't box or fight anything like Floyd, but man, he can box. Can he box? I mean, this kid walked into the meeting with me. He's got braces. He looked like he's about 12.
How do you wear a mouth guard with braces?
You have to have them specially made. It's a double one. It's a double top and bottom.
That's amazing.
Yeah, he's so talented, man. Just not even just the speed, but the ability. Look, at that age, most of those fighters at that age, 18, they're very offensive. Mm-hmm. They're either pedal to the metal, throw hard, be aggressive, be aggressive, be aggressive, be aggressive. It's my cheerleading days coming back. Hey, but they yeah, right. So they, it's kind of that. I wasn't expecting him, after watching some of his past fights, for him to be so much more technically sound on the defense, and he delivered. I thought it was beautiful what he did. It was nasty. He was picking and choosing his shots. He was opening up hard shots when he needed to. He was ripping the body. He was making sure he didn't smother his punches. He created angles. Defensively, he was sound. He got hit with a couple good shots, but he's got a good chin. I've seen him take big shots from past opponents, where in some of his past fights, he left himself open a little bit more. You could tell that he worked on his defense at that age. It's normally, like I said, pedal the metal on offense and just see what happens. Hopefully you get him out of there with a shot. But this time you could tell that he was like, don't let anything happen. Don't get caught by this guy. It's for real. Like, this guy can just peekaboo out and just bam, hit me with the shot. He was very conservative with how he displayed his work. And I gotta be honest, man, bucket list, interview Floyd Mayweather, bucket list, check. Okay, got to interview Floyd. Had a moment to chat with him a little bit afterwards too. So there was a lot of things that we were talking about off air about how he's working with the young kids, kind of helping them financially, helping them with, the biggest thing that any, I think, mentor and fighter, like older like us, like, myself or a Masvidal or Nate Diaz or, a Robbie Lawler, what you can do is mentor them in who the fuck to stay away from, especially in the boxing industry. Oh, yeah. MMA is getting there too. There's just people you want to keep away from your athletes, just money hawks and clout chasers, all that shit. Keep these motherfuckers away from these young kids. And him being 18 years old, Floyd giving him a place, not giving him a place to train. He's earned his place to train there. But I mean, simply saying, like, making it feel like home. When I was talking with Carmel, he was saying how Floyd, will sit quietly off to the corner, give him a pointer here and there. He's like, but he doesn't overwhelm me with information. He's like, but he also gives me pointers on life. And that said a lot to me. We're not just friends because of boxing. You're not just my mentor, someone I look up to for boxing. He's also giving them life lessons, whether that's, hey, maybe like, let's not focus on letting that guy control what you're doing or tell you what to do. You know what I mean? So I think that having someone like that who's been there, done that, multiple time world champion in Floyd, and then just seeing where you potentially grow, and take the advice. Not all the advice will be sound. It may not all work for you, but at least you have someone there that Floyd don't need money from him. Floyd kind of made it clear. He's like, look, I'm just looking to see this young man grow. He's a good kid. And when you hear someone say he's a good kid, it makes you feel like they kind of are starting to look out for their best interests. At least to me, it does. I mean, maybe not everyone feels that way. But I look Carmel, man, so just very smart. The way he was talking to us in the fighter meetings, came in by himself, didn't come in with an entourage, didn't come in with his dad holding his hand. He was there, walked in by himself, sat down. We all looked around the table like, what, this kid, like this little kid lost, what are you, like 12? And it was like, and he's like, I'm Carmel. We're like, oh, yo, you're 12 years old, bro. Like he's 18 years old. Amazing. The story on him too is that he could have made the Olympic team, but they wanted him to wait until the next Olympics. He's like, nah. So that's why he turned pro.
Damn.
So he could have made the Olympic team, but they decided they wanted to go with another boxer over him because that other boxer was like 22, 23, somewhere in there, kind of matured a little bit more, had a little more experience. They wanted to go with him. And so he's like, no, I'm not gonna wait for the Olympics to come back in 4 years. I'm gonna sit around, I'm gonna cash out now. So this young man had an opportunity of a lifetime. He fought in front of 18,000 people last night, and he made more money last night than he would have made in the Olympics.
Oh yeah.
So, and he would have to win the Olympics to make it. So he's cashing out right now. He's doing a great job. I'm happy for him. If you're looking for a young prospect who's respectful, who fights his ass off, dedication, training, all of those things, this is your guy, Mal. This is your guy. If you guys are looking for someone to follow in the boxing industry that's coming up, Carmel Moton, man, great guy, great kid, great young man. I'm looking forward to seeing his career blossom. Great for him. So, fight before that was Chris Avila versus Anthony Pettis. You know, it was a weird fight for me to like. I was sitting ringside for that fight. I actually walked down and saw pretty much all the rounds except for the last round. I had to get back up at the desk, but it was one of those. Like Pettis seemed like he was missing something, and I got to be honest. I felt like he was missing his kicks. That's what he was missing. His box. Yeah, I know he's got good boxing. You know. But Chris Avila he has that Nate Diaz style, you know, in a fight like that, you just know he's going to keep coming forward. You know, he's going to keep wearing on you. So you got to be prepared for more output. You got to land the harder, bigger shots. And, you know, you can't take a step backwards. You got to learn to fight in a phone booth if you're going to deal with the Diaz camp. And so Chris Avila did exactly that. I'm very impressed with him in the boxing world. I'm not impressed with him. Obviously, I was not impressed with him in the MMA world. That's not his game. That's not his jam. I mean, don't get me wrong. He can fight there. But his jam is boxing. We're finding out. I think he's 5-0 now or whatever. He's got 5 wins in his last 5 fights or something. Maybe this might be 6.
Beat Jeremy Stevens.
Yeah, he's got beat Jeremy Stevens. I mean, like, I'm trying to figure out who else maybe he can fight.
He's kind of like the boxing gatekeeper for MMA guys. It's like you have to make it through Chris Avila before you can earn a spot to fight somebody better. Yeah.
You know, like I said, man, he's somebody that might be on my list if I was to ever try to come back and fight. Like in terms of boxing, it would be he's just, and also too, I like the kid, man. Yeah. Like we interviewed him, and he interviewed from his penthouse suite in Newport, overlooking the beach. I was like, this dude, he's just living his best life. You know, he's fighting on the undercard, just penthouse suite. Food in front of him. I'm like, damn, dog, you got it. You're just living your life.
I love that.
He's a cool dude, man. I really like him. I'm looking forward to seeing how he progresses. What's next for him? Off the top of my head, you know, I mean, like, is there anyone on the card last night that we'd like to see him fight? That's somebody like, you know, you wouldn't. I don't know if you would match him up against, you know, maybe Masvidal next. Then do you have him fight Masvidal? I mean, it's like you're basically fighting Nate's protege, like, you know, different. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. I mean, he came away with the win over Pettis. Masvidal's coming off a loss to him. I know Masvidal was probably thinking for bigger names, but, you know, I mean, that's a fight to be made. 10-round fight, too.
Well, after the recent shit show, let's just throw Darren Till against Chris Avila. Why not?
Yeah, but I think Darren's too big.
Yeah.
Gotta be honest. Darren Till's, you know, walking around probably 205 right now. He's a big old bitch, man. You know, and he's talented. He's got some speeds. You know, he's got some good hands and stuff. But yeah, I would say, I don't know, man. Like I'm trying to think. I mean, what about Till and Masvidal?
Ooh.
You know, what about Till and Masvidal? What about Nate and Till? I mean, Darren Till's too big. I look at it, he's too big for both those guys. But, like, I'm trying to get into this realm. I mean, I would see more of the Darren Till versus Jake Paul.
Yeah.
But Darren Till's going to want to do it over the UK.
Did you see what happened with his fight yesterday?
I saw just the brawl at the end, but that's all I saw. I didn't see the fight, though. Did you see anything? How did it all come about?
He threw a couple rabbit punches to the back of his opponent's head. His opponent acted like they were nuclear bombs, so he laid down.
Oh, yeah.
And then afterwards, they were all pissed, so they started throwing scraps at each other. But, you could have did that in the fight, That's why you guys were there.
It gives me flashbacks of when you're younger, right? And you got the kids, you got guys that they step up to you. They're like, "What, dude? What you gonna do?" And they don't ever do anything until their boys get between you guys. As soon as the teacher comes and gets between you guys, now all of a sudden they're trying to push back the teacher, they're gonna do something. Yeah, what? You throwing punches and stuff? No, the teacher's standing in front of them. That's kind of what I saw from last night. He was all heated. And then all of a sudden someone got in between and he started trying to run at Darren Till, and it was just a mess. Disaster.
For real.
But good for Darren Till, though. Darren Till got the win, I believe, right? Something like that.
Should, maybe.
Yeah, it should. I believe so. Darren Till, Jake Paul. I'd like to see Darren Till and Logan Paul. I see that fight too. Darren Till's a big guy. So is Jake, though.
Yeah.
So, and then what was the other fight on that card?
So
the first one, Devin Cushing versus Manny Correa. Yeah, I expected more out of the fight, to be honest. Even Devin Cushing's I wasn't happy with my performance. He's been out for a year. Pacing was off. Speed was off. Manny Correa, I was expecting him to try and open up a little bit more with bigger shots. He had moments, just not enough. You got to have more moments than that. So that was pretty much it, man. That was it for the boxing world.
Whether you're an Olympic athlete, professional hockey player, MMA world champion, or just an active kid, LMNT helps anyone stay hydrated. Each stick pack delivers a meaningful dose of electrolytes free of sugar, artificial colors, or other dodgy ingredients. Get your free sample pack with any LMNT drink mix purchase through link in bio. Also try the new LMNT Sparkling, a bold 16-ounce can of sparkling electrolyte water. Roll, train, ride, or play, but stay hydrated and stay salty.
But hey, man, that whole Masvidal versus Diaz segment was brought to you by LMNT as well as BetUS. Want to give thanks to both those sponsors for continuing to rep us. And man, they've been such a pleasure to work with, I should say. And LMNT has been amazing. Big John just chewing it up, loves it. He uses it on the farm. For me, I use it with my son. I use it myself as well for running. Before I go running, I'll drink a half a can or I'll do a half a mixture. But it's good for me in terms of the sodium, the salt keeps me from the cramps, and also helps with my recovery. That's a big deal to me, especially at my old ass age. So LMNT, check it out. Link is down below. And also BetUS. For your first 3 deposits, you get 125% bonus on your first 3 deposits with our link down below. So make sure you guys use that Wayne-In link for your first 3 deposits. You get 125% bonus on your first one, up to $2,500, by the way. And check them out. Look, and also, I wanted to make sure we were clear on this. I got a lot of flack from our listeners, and I actually appreciate this. Is the one time I actually kind of listen to you guys, and I appreciate you guys because John and I were both kind of on the fence about it too to begin with. Was the commercial and the ad with Michael Vick, but I wanted to let you guys know we also had talked to them about it, and basically that we decided to not run that ad. It had Michael Vick on it, and we appreciate you guys reaching out to us, letting us, know your guys' feedback on it. And we were on the same page. We were, not sure how people would react. And so John and I both decided we reached out to BetUS, and they were very understanding, great company to work with. And so we want to thank them for being understanding as well, because they spent a lot of money and a lot of time putting that ad together, with Michael Vick, and understanding, that everyone deserves a second chance. I believe that they do too, but I think also it was one of those scenarios where we're kind of like, yeah, I'm not really fully ready to endorse it though either. So, but But yeah, so go ahead and use our link down below for BetUS, 125% on your first 3 deposit bonus. So go ahead and check that out.
And
What else you got for me?
I was just going to say, if anyone wants to keep complaining about boxing judges, MMA judges, go over to MMAreferee.com. Sign up to be taught by the best in the world, Big John McCarthy.
You're a stud. That was one of the best reads we've ever had.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
I'll charge Miss McCarthy a bill. Don't worry.
Yeah. You just send the invoice.
Yeah.
Send the invoice. I like that. That's funny. That was great. I'm glad you threw that in. That's going to be, I think, the weekend of July. I think what, 26, 27, 28? Or 25, 26, 27. It's July. I know it's the end of the month.
You're going to get yelled at by Miss McCarthy if you don't remember.
Well, it's those dates. I just don't know if it's I know it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's a 3-day ordeal.
Let me pull it up right here.
All right. While he's looking
July
at
26th through 28th.
There you go, July 26th through 28th. 26, 27, 28, 3-day course. It's at Extreme Couture's in Las Vegas. You guys check it out. Like if you guys want to be an opportunity to be a judge, get paid a little bit of money here on the weekends, on side jobs. I'd check it out, man. Once you pass this certification, they basically will put your name into a hat through some of the other states. You'll be able to have them start reaching out to you to work small shows, and get paid, I don't know, a couple $100, to do smaller shows. And eventually one day, maybe you'll be in the UFC. Maybe one day you'll be in, PFL. One day you'll be maybe one day you'll be reffing or judging a Canelo fight.
Maybe.
But you got to be dedicated. You got to give it a try. You can't get there.
Worst case scenario, you get some free tickets to amazing local fights, get to support MMA, up and coming, and be the change you want to see.
Look at you, bro. You come up with the great one-liners today, man. I'm liking what you're doing. I've never seen this side of Keto George. I like it.
It's because Big John's not here. I got to amp it up.
Yeah. This is true, man. It's a lot. My back has been kind of sore from carrying this show so much. So
I believe it.
I'm glad that you're here helping me out, man. You're taking some of the weight off my back. I'm
the pack mule we always needed.
Yeah, the pack mule. I like that. Do pack mules have small eyes like you, though?
Maybe.
You don't know. I don't know either. I wouldn't know. Pack mule. All right. What else is there to talk about? I know there was a fight announcement. Wasn't there a couple fight announcements?
Yeah, we got Benoit Saint-Denis versus Money Moicano at UFC Fight Night Paris. 5 rounds.
Great fight. I mean, Saint-Denis. Are we gonna see we want to see how he recovers? The last time he lost, look what he did. He went rampant, just beating everyone's ass.
Yeah.
I mean, and then he stepped in against Dustin, came up short in that fight, but
he looked
let's be honest,
good in that fight, though.
Oh yeah. He did great. Just look, you get caught.
Yeah.
And Dustin is Dustin, because he wouldn't be where he is if he just laid down and let everyone just walk all over him, man. That guy is a legend. I don't think there's another guy in the sport that has a better resume than him. I mean, I put Max and I put Dustin. I'm going through names. I can't think of really. I'm like, man, he's fought everyone. I mean, I put probably Nate right up there as well. They've got the resume of everybody. So yeah, I mean, there's certain guys up there that have that resume, and he's one of them. Look, I say Saint-Denis is one of those guys that this is going to be a good fight. And Moicano, he seems like he's found his stride at 155. He's a stud. I'm looking forward to seeing this fight. I mean, I know there's no early odds on it yet, for BetUS, but I do think that this is one of those fights that I could see Saint-Denis being the favorite, even though coming off a loss.
Yeah, maybe.
I could see him being the favorite.
Plus 200, maybe? That's what I
would say probably more of like a plus 155.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, not a plus, a minus.
Oh, minus. Yeah,
he'd be the minus. Yeah, sorry. I do the same thing every once in a while. Yeah, he'd probably be like a minus 155, maybe a minus 175, somewhere in there. I'd be surprised if it was 200 coming off of a loss. Especially the way he lost. And then Moicano is on the rise right now. So Moicano's a stud, man. So good. All right, give me what else? What other things?
One last thing before we go. Recently, we had Jen Pulver inducted into the Hall of Fame, much deserved. He said when he got inducted that as long as you have a pioneer wing, then there needs to be. You cannot have a pioneer wing without guys like Frank Shamrock or without guys like Dan Henderson or Robbie Lawler. Or Robbie Lawler is a Hall of Famer, but he wants to see more of these kind of guys inducted into this pioneer wing of the Hall of Fame. What do you think about that?
Okay. So to clarify, and everyone knows, like Frank and I, we had some beef for a while and stuff, but Frank was asked, and Dana hates Frank. Dana White does not like Frank Shamrock at all. And the feeling's mutual, so let's not be like, oh, Dana's being a jerk. The feeling's mutual. They just don't like each other. There's a long story behind it all. For another day, I'll tell a story, another time when Big John's here too. So, because I know like Big John likes to feed into it too, and he has got so much, the old school stories. I think it'd be good for us to do it together. Bottom line is they offered him in, and Frank Shamrock turned him down. So I do agree that Frank should be in there, but Frank chose the option not to be in there. I hope they offer to him again, in a couple of years or 5 years, 10 years, whatever it is. But Frank has openly said no. So if that's the case, you can't be mad at Dana White. You can't be mad at the fact that he's not in there. And I understand what Jens is saying. There does need to be an old wing, for all the guys. I think every person that was on UFC 1. I don't care if you're on the undercard or the undercard. You guys should all be inducted into the Hall of Fame. It should. I feel that's the way it should be.
If you fought in Strikeforce or any of these defunct companies that got bought out, you deserve a special star by your name. You deserve some type of fucking badass recognition. Like,
I pretty much fought in all the ones that got bought. So I fought in Pride. I fought in Pride. I fought in Strikeforce. I fought in Bellator. All three of those got sold. All three of them sold and bought. So, it's difficult, man. It's difficult. But like I said, got to go where the money is. And that's what I was doing with my career. So that worked out. Look, there was something else. Ryan Garcia. We were going to talk about the Ryan Garcia situation.
Did we talk about the Sean Garcia fight?
What's that?
Did we skip the Sean Garcia fight?
We skipped the Sean Garcia fight. How the hell did we skip the Sean Garcia fight?
I don't know.
What an idiot. I was like, how did I miss that? Okay, so Sean, I knew we were trying to save the Ryan Garcia talk. I just completely spaced it. Sean Garcia and Amado Vargas, I thought kind of stole the show outside of Carmel's performance, but it was a very one-sided fight with Carmel Moton. But I thought Sean Garcia and Amado Vargas stole the show. I thought Amado came out aggressive and hard. Sean played possum in the beginning, covering up, letting him kind of wear himself down. Then they settled in halfway through the first round. It became a great fight. I thought that fight stole the card. It was definitely the one that had the most hype around it. They fought their asses off. Sean mentally, I think, was kind of going through a lot. Never had his brother, not in his corner coaching. Not just that, but never had his brother not at one of his camps. He's always had his brother there. And talking with Sean, he basically said, I was living off my talent. I was cutting corners when I was boxing before, living off my talent, my abilities, my technique. I just thought my natural abilities were going to get me by. And he lost the love for boxing. I understood that. I can understand that. Then he left, got into drinking and got into other things. And it was his brother who reached out to him and said, hey, like, you're wasting away. Like, you're wasting your talent. You know what I mean? And you have so much more to offer. He was in that ring last night because of his brother. His brother got him back on the right track. Sean, I got to be honest, man. Sean's got he's got two young kids. He's focused. I don't know how dedicated he is to the fight game. It seems to be like he's looking for it, but I think mentally there was a lot on his mind. You could tell he loves his brother very much. You could tell that his brother loves him. But Ryan Garcia is going through a lot right now. His own mental health issues. I guess there's some issues also too, health issues with his mom. There's a lot going on in that family behind closed doors as well as on Twitter. And so if that's happening, I think everyone kind of needs to respect the space, especially for Sean and his family. Ryan's putting himself out there a lot, so there's not much you can do in terms of respecting the space. He's going to, I think, he'll get through it. He'll get focused and get back on track. But it's one of those things, he's got to stop sabotaging himself. And until he does that, I saw him this morning when I was checking out the hotel. And, not to sound too fucking
Hoity-toity.
up hoity-toity and on my high horse. I said, hey man, your brother fought his ass off last night. But there was a lot on his mind. Not just with him him in the fight, but with you. I said, but he had a lot of high praise. I told Ryan he had a lot of high praise, in the fighter meetings about how he, you're the reason why he's back in there. And so I hope you guys, I hope you, understand how much he cares for you, and he was thinking about you leading up to this fight. So and I just kind of left it at that. I felt like I'm a little bit on my high horse, this dude don't fucking know me. You don't gotta take any of my advice, but I was like, I said, but you got to be there for him, and so I think he's like, I am going to be there. I am. And I'm like, okay, well, I wish you guys nothing but the best, so I did see the video that they put out, and that happened this morning because that's what he was wearing when I saw him this morning when I was checking out. So that video happened this morning. He said, you know what? The Vargas family's one up on us right now, but I think that Sean can beat Amato, and I want a rematch, and I'm going to coach my brother, to get the win. And let's run it back. Let's run it back. And I guess he even said he'll put up 25,000. I think it was, or 25 million. I think it was 25,000.
That makes more sense.
Maybe it was 225,000. It might have been that.
I could see that.
I could see that too. But look, I think I'd love to see that fight ran back.
Oh yeah.
I know Famio and that whole promotion would love to have that fight done again because the crowd came out for him. They are a big reason why that arena sold out too. Not just, I know Nate and Masvidal were the biggest reasons why, but man, Amato and Sean both had a lot of fans there.
Oh yeah.
So it was a great fight. Sean he never fought past 4 rounds, and you could see he got into that 5th round. It was like he was exhausted already. He's got to get his training, his cardio on track. And I think if he does that, once he gets his cardio on track, it's just hard because guys like him, they're super explosive, got fast hands, and it looks like they're loading up all the time. But when he landed some hard shots. Amato, you could tell, had to take a step back. Whereas Amato, he caught it with the uppercut, beautifully done. The pressure was on point. Amato needs to work on his defense a little bit, but he's still very, very young. When I look at Kermel and I look at Amato and I look at Sean, it lets you know there's levels to this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, don't get me wrong, man. Like, Amato, I thought had a great performance. It is, a great job. He ripped the body, just beautifully done to the body. Came back up top to the uppercut, dropped Sean, and just had a great performance. I thought he fought a great fight. He knew where his bread and butter was going to, he knew where his butter was going to be. His bread was going to be buttered. There you go.
He buttered his bread, goddammit.
He knew how to butter his bread. Man, Keto's on point, man. I'm exhausted over here, and I'm just fumbling and tumbling over my words. But hey, I think that Sean has a chance to make a career out of it. He can get focused. I think Amato definitely has a chance to make a career out of it. He can get focused. The great thing about Amato is he's got 2 brothers.
Mm-hmm.
And a world-class father, like a boxing coach, that he's been there. He's fought all the best guys and can help prepare his kids, for the next step of what to do and what not to do, and Amato was very clear about what his dad's directions were, like stay away from alcohol, stay away from drugs, stay away from smoking, like let's not do these things. Let's focus on boxing. Let's focus on the career, and you guys can have a chance to make a lot of money in your own way, not just off me, but in your own way, which is brilliant. You got 3 sons. They're all good. They're all talented. They all have an opportunity to make a good career out of this. So good for him. Good for him. I'm happy for him. Fernando Vargas was one of my favorite fighters back in the day. The De La Hoya fights, the other fights. Just a beautiful, he was awesome, man. He was a great fighter. But Sean's going to hopefully get it together. And I think hopefully Ryan will do what he said he's going to do, which is be in his corner, but also go to rehab. Mm-hmm. Something that definitely needs to be done and taken serious. And, I think this is something he can snap out of within a short period of time of spending some time in rehab, getting the right people around him, and listening to these things. Mm-hmm. So hopefully, I wish nothing but the best for the family. So,
prayers.
Sean seems like a really good kid. He had said he was lost before. He's, focused now back on trying to get his life back together and, provide for his 2 young kids. And that's important in life. That's very important. So hope he does it. Is there anything else there, Keto George?
No, that's about it for this slow weekend of MMA news.
Yes. All right, guys. Wait, that's going to wrap us up. So hopefully you guys enjoy the show. Make sure you guys use the link down below for BetUS. I want to make you guys subscribe to our channel, not just our YouTube channel here. Subscribe to our Instagrams. Subscribe to our Twitters. And also, we also offer a subscription base on our YouTube. So we have tier systems. We have a $1.99, get you an icon, get your questions answered. Also a $4.99, which will get you guys some signed memorabilia, some shirts, whatever it is. Whatever it is we're doing for that month. So make sure you guys subscribe to our YouTube channel. And thank you guys. We've got quite a few already signed up. We want to thank them. Thank you guys so much for being dedicated fans. And look, when I get back into Texas, we get everything all organized in the next week or so. I'm going to make sure we get out some signed memorabilia to you guys, or at least some weighing-in swag.
Stuff I'm jealous of. I wish I could have some of them.
Oh, I've got what I've got, right?
Yeah.
I've got some Nate Diaz hoodies. I got some Nate Diaz shirts. This is a funny story. I got to say this one real quick. So I go over to pick up, a package of Nate Diaz's swag. Mm-hmm. And I pick it up and I'm like, all right, he's got a nice hoodie, nice shirt, it's got a hat, it's got everything, right? And at the bottom of the bag, there's a little jar. And in that jar was a lot of weed. I was like, dude, you're giving out weed with your bag, with your packages? This is dope. I don't smoke, so some lucky other person got it. But hey, man, I thought it was so unique. I mean, it was just true to form for a Nate Diaz care package if you bought it. So it was awesome. So
that will not be in the giveaway. Not be in the giveaway, guys.
That will not be in the giveaway. Yes, that's not in the giveaway. I had to jump on a flight, so I had to give it away. But hey, guys, I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. Hopefully, this show. Look, I'm going to be this is kind of how we're going to be filming for the next probably week and a half, and visiting family up in the North Cal area and other areas as well as we drive across the country. I want to thank you guys so much. And Keto George, thanks for holding it down, man, for Big John today.
Always.
And sending our love over to Big John. Miss you, buddy. And feel better, and we will see ya.